Hi, this is Joe Polish, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. James Malinchak. I'm going to interview this dude, and you know, first off, thanks for being here, man.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Very much.
Yeah, this will be good. So, since we know each other, we can goof around here, and I don't have to be typically
very worried.
Yeah. Well, first off, we're both wearing black shirts and jeans right now, which I think is kind of funny.
Joe has told me that it has been a childhood fantasy to be me.
I've never said that. All right. Well, okay, so
and black shoes too. What's up,
yeah,
Joe?
pretty much.
Jeans mask, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna go shopping after this. So, James, you've been doing info marketing, speaking for a long time. You're now a star on TV, Secret Millionaire.
I got my boots on. It's getting deep in here.
Yeah. Let me give the viewers a little bit of background. I mean, I've got a lot of bio stuff on James, but his name's James Malinchak. And what I want to mention, you've given over 2,200 presentations, which is like a lot of speaking.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Well, I started at a young age speaking to help kids, college students, and teenagers, and that was my passion. I just loved it, man. I would speak two or three times a day.
Really?
Oh yeah, 150, 180 gigs a year.
Wow.
I would just bust it. I just loved it.
Yeah, well, and you still do.
I still do. Yeah.
I speak, but nowhere near to that level. And you've written 16 books, including, one of the ones, a while back was you co-authored the bestseller "Chicken Soup for the College Soul." So you really integrated the college market.
Yeah.
Let's see. You've been a marketer of the year for Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. You charge between your speaking gigs $20,000 to $100,000. You ever gotten paid more than $100,000 at one?
No, not yet, but I will. I have a goal to get $1 million gig.
Really? Okay. Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is I'm going to ask James some questions about speaking and about making a living sharing your expertise. Also, you're named one of the top 40 business people under the age of 40 in Las Vegas. You own 6 different businesses. You've been doing a lot of philanthropic work. You gave away over $100,000 of your own money on ABC's Secret Millionaire, yeah. And also in the last 6 months, you've donated and raised over $350,000 for children's charities. So part of what your mission is right now is doing that. So talk a little bit about that, and then I'll have you share some more things about you. Then we'll get into asking some strategic things for our viewers to hopefully take away some good stuff other than jokes that we'll tell during this interview.
Yeah, I have a special place in my heart for kids. There's some bright kids out there who just don't have some of the financial opportunities that we have. Mm-hmm. And very smart kids, loving kids, great kids with big ideas, and it breaks my heart to see that they don't get a chance to maybe live a dream mm-hmm. because they don't have money to go to school, right. Or they don't know the social skills or the business skills or the relationship building skills that we all know as entrepreneurs. So it's been a real passion, and I have kind of a big goal where I want to impact 1 million kids. Just really maybe even become the voice that is the leader that helps a lot of kids learn entrepreneurial skills.
Yeah. Well, who are you really? Who is James Malinchak? What do you really do? If you had to kind of talk about what your business does, the value it creates, what it represents, who your audience is, what is it?
It's kind of strange. It's like when I go on a blind date.
Okay.
And the girl asks, "So what do you do?" And I used to try to explain it, right? First I would say, "Well, I speak."
Right.
And she would be like, if she doesn't know our world, she would be like, "Well, what do you mean you speak?" I'm like,
right.
"Well, I kind of talk to groups."
Right, right.
It's like, "Yeah, but how do you make a living?"
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Oh man, I see where this is going." Because certain speakers make more in an hour than some people maybe make in a year.
Yeah.
So it's always been tough to explain what I do. We get it, like our world, but people outside of our world don't get it. So if I had to just bullet point it, I actually am a fee-paid motivational speaker.
Yeah.
But because of that, and I'm very proud of it, by the way. People say, well, motivation wears off, but I love it. Motivation saved my life when I was going through a tough time with my sister dying of a brain tumor. Yeah. So I'm an advocate of it.
Yeah.
But the second thing, and I started on the college circuit helping kids. But what happened was a unique thing started to occur. People started to say, "Man, I've never heard of you before. Mm-hmm. You didn't fall out of an airplane and live. Right? You didn't win a Super Bowl. You don't have a movie about your life. You don't have a New York Times best-selling book. but you seem to be out there speaking and making more money in this motivational speaking thing than the big name people. Like, how the heck do you do this?
Right.
And I've always run it as a business. So I started teaching others how to do that. And that's when I created my big money speaker boot camps.
Well, yeah, what's funny, and I wanted to talk about that because I've been to one of your conferences, I've spoken at one of your events, and you, there's a huge difference between being well known and being well paid. And you have really, and I mean, I think that's why people go to your events. They actually want to learn how to make money as a speaker.
Yeah.
I mean, you even called it big money speaker. And what the fascinating thing is you're not even that good of a speaker. And I'm just kidding.
No,
just
I'm
kidding.
I always say I'm not. I just, and here's my point when you're 100% right. I say that all the time. I mean, I don't walk it the right way. My hands are in my pocket. But I tell people this. I said, look, you can be the best speaker in the world. You can have the most impactful message. But if I could outmarket you, I'll beat you every day.
Yeah.
And I just became a really good marketer of the speaking business and creating multiple income streams. In our world, the motivational speaking. So that's why my boot camps are different than anything out there.
Yeah. Well, so that is a really important distinction because, look, there's a lot of. I was friends with Gary Halbert, who passed away, and he was a crazy maniac, but a brilliant copywriter. And we always used to talk that we had a lot of similarities in the fact that when God was doling out brains, 98% of our brains went on how to create a marketing campaign, and the other 2% on how to run the rest of our lives, that sort of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's so funny. And I heard you say on another interview that one of Gary's sayings that you always accomplish more through movement than you will through meditation.
Right.
And I mean, you just got to get out there and do stuff. And the one thing that I think is most important in terms of a skill set to learn is marketing. And I consider speaking a delivery system.
100%.
3 things you need to sell something, Gary would talk about. You need a product or service, what it is you have. You need a sales pitch or a marketing message. And the third, you need a delivery system. And so you said an important line, speaking is a business. You don't just go out and speak. You actually utilize speaking as part of a much bigger picture business, but you go out and you market it. So I wanted to ask you about the subject of marketing, because I love marketing. I even have a podcast. One of the top podcasts on iTunes is I Love Marketing at ilovemarketing.com. That's a plug, by the way. You should go there. But basically, you're totally in the marketing, and at your conferences, I think more of your, at least from my experience of having been to one of your conferences. I mean, you're also in we're in a mastermind group, Genius Network, and you probably spend 80% of your time talking about the marketing of speaking versus the speaking.
Actually, I think, in my opinion, it's probably about 99% of the time.
Yeah.
I try to get it out of the way right in the beginning. Like, there's 2 sides of this coin. There's your gifts, your message, and how you want to impact people. But then on the flip side of the coin, there's the business side, and everybody has it reversed. They spend 99% of their time on the message, and trying to perfect the message. So what I do in the beginning of my training is I package it up in a box metaphorically, and I put it over on the side. Not that it's not important. We'll just pick it later. The 4 days together we're going to spend on marketing. And I have a sign behind my desk. You come to my house for consulting, like my coaching members do. I have a sign that says ABM. And that does not stand for awesome bowel movement.
That was immediately where my mind was going. I'm glad you clarified that for me.
It stands for always be marketing.
Okay.
Everything you do has got to be marketing. That's why
I want to see you do a Glenn Ross impersonation of the
I love that
coffee
movie.
is for closers, but you'd be like marketing is for closers.
I figured it out a long time ago. When I was broke, listening to all this stuff that's been perpetuated in the speaking business for years. Dream big, and you'll be a wealthy speaker. No, you won't. You'll just be dreaming big.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, you can wish your way to bankruptcy.
I mean, Joe, I've tried it, man. Hey, I'll try anything once, and I've tried sitting on my couch in a lotus position, going I hope the window opens up and I hope money flows in for my business. It never happened. But when I got off my assets and I learned how to ethically influence and how to position myself uniquely and how to find the people who have the money in let's say, the speaking business and get them to give it to me instead of my competitors, that's when I got wealthy. And how to create multiple income streams, how to get my books, my CDs, and all my continuing education sold to the group before I ever show up to speak by teaching the meeting planner, the event coordinator, which budgets they have that they don't even know they have sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, that's when I became a wealthy speaker. When I learned how to, quote unquote, close from the stage with my product, give great value, and then, you know, first of all, have a product.
Right. I mean, that's an important point. Like, speaking, you know, is one thing, but being able to actually put people into tools, put people into systems, into processes, and give them some, you know, I guess, some continuing education, because really, yeah, I mean, to me, it is an you're giving people capabilities, you're talking about capabilities, you're defining a game, but then how do people continue to play the game after you get them all excited and motivated? If you do, if you're able to do that.
And it's not about selling somebody into something. It's about delivering, first of all, three things. I call AME: add value, make a difference, and enrich lives. You should do that in every presentation. And give great value throughout the entire presentation, great content, and have them come to the inevitable conclusion in their mind that they want more of you. Right. It's not about twisting people's arms or tricking people and manipulating them. I just, you know, that got me more fed up in the speaking and the info marketing world than anything else. Certain individuals teaching that stuff. I mean, and I understand influence, but you can do it ethically. And it's not about, you know, doing something to people. It's about doing something for people.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, there's an interesting thing, and I want to have kind of your perspective on this. It's an interesting world that, you know, traveling and being an information marketer, to use that term, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, the publishing world, the speaking world, the marketing world, the how-to world, whatever. Where I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. You know, so much of it was incredibly valuable to me. I mean, it's the same thing with, in similar ways. You know, when I had the hardest times of my life, books, seminars, speakers, inspiring messages. You know, people would, you know, ask me all the time, you know, and they still do, you know, to this day, is, you know, why do you read all these books? Why do you go to seminars? And I was like, you know, it just keeps me in a good state of mind. It's kind of like, why do you keep going to the gym? I mean, you know, it's just a different way to continually, you know, stay in a good state mentally. And at the same time, when you go as deep into this world as me and you have, you see a bunch of kind of interesting characters. You know, it's like, you know, we're on the Star Wars bar. You know, it's like a bunch of weird sort of individuals. And
in the Star Wars bar.
Remember the Star Wars scene where it was like
I'm just amazed at how you can pull that from memory.
There's some things I actually can. And so, you know, there's, but I have a love-hate relationship with it, because when you're thrown in this world like marketer, people think of every person that ever ripped them off in marketing did it, or, you know, but they don't think of every wonderful, awesome thing that exists in the world, like the camera that's videotaping us, the clothes we're wearing, the books that are published, the light bulbs, you know, just from where we're sitting versus the cars that people drive, the homes that, you know, all of this stuff exists because someone was motivated to sell it and get rewarded financially or in other ways for their stuff. I mean, people that are salespeople in the best sense of the word, that create value in the world, you know, using a Dan Sullivan definition, selling is getting people intellectually engaged in a future result that is good for them, keyword good for them, and getting them to emotionally commit to take action to achieve that result. That's one of my favorite definitions. I've got that obviously memorized. You know, when you're out there really delivering value to people and helping them, the very best skill, the most honorable thing you can do as a human being is to sell. And people that sell are saviors in a lot of ways. Now, there's, like anything else, you can use this in a very destructive way. You can talk people and influence them into things that aren't good for them. And there's many things that we can point to that don't help people, that are high pressure. You know, but the reality is, if you want to do good in the world, you got to sell it. I mean, nothing happens until a sale is made. Like, literally nothing. And the more I think about that, it's not just something I tell myself. That is true. I mean, think about every good thing that you've ever come across with, any piece of advice. And I'm not talking for profit. I mean, any person in your life that ever led you into a good direction. They had to influence you, persuade you, create the environment to you to convince yourself that was a good move to make. And so that's what you're basically you put rooms of people together, and you teach them how to use speaking as a vehicle to put people into where they want to go. And of course, the character of the person and I'll stop babbling in a minute. I just really want to get this message out,
great.
because I want to really get your perspective on it, because you know, there's a lot of people that think this world is bullshit. They think that people are just trying, and there are parts of it that actually are, and that's the difficulty, is like, you know, getting people not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know, it's that sort of thing.
Right.
So what's your perspective on, you know, the times where you put people in states of being very disturbed if they don't take action or follow your path, or you really want to sell something to someone and it's simply not, this is really good for you, just do it. Because you know as well as I do, there's a lot of things you have to, I mean, it takes incredible amounts of persuasion to get people to do even the things they want to do or say they want to do. So, you know, part of it is really understanding the DNA of what's going on here. So that's why I kind of wanted to ramble about that, just to get your philosophy on it all.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything you said. I think a couple things that you have to realize first before you know, get somebody to take action with you, take a step with you, is, and I say this in all my trainings, I say this with all my coaching clients that sit in my house, because they all have this apprehension about, I don't want to seem like I'm selling, right? Because we attach that negativity, right? You know, the guy in the plaid jacket, we think of selling or marketing, the guy in the plaid jacket with the plaid pants, you know, with the glasses on and the toothpick, with the shirt opened up, with the gold chain and the chest hairs grabbing at you, you know, like coming at you like, hey baby, I got a deal for you. You know, guy looked like
I got a Halloween costume for you now. I'm thinking of this.
You know, remember how you used to dress?
Right, exactly. Totally.
Yeah, the guy, he looked like he just jogged home from his vasectomy. Right? You know, he just got a vasectomy and he ran home because he's a macho dude, right? And we attach ourselves to that. We attach ourselves, oh, that's how people are going to see us if we offer something, right? So therefore, it's a lot easier to not do it. So we have this mental hang-up. And I always say this to my students in my boot camps or my coaching clients. I ask them, I say, let me ask you an honest question. Do you believe in what you're offering? Do you believe your stuff enriches people's lives, makes them better, you know, adds value? And everybody always puts their hand, yes. Okay, do you believe that it could be a turning point in their life? If they just had this, that maybe they'd stop smoking, maybe they would grow their business, maybe they'd be a better parent, whatever it is. Absolutely. Then I say, you're doing them a disservice by not allowing them to take it home and influencing them to take it home. You know, and if you happen to make a little money doing it, you should, because you're running a business.
Or if you happen to make a lot of money doing it. Well, I want to. You just said something that is really key there, which people can take out of context, and I absolutely agree with it. If you really have something that can help other people, and if you want to get paid for it and make a lot of profits, I mean, more power to you. I'm a full-blown capitalist. I mean, I think of capitalism as the greatest system on the planet, not the thwarted perceptions of capitalism that a lot of idiots out there, you know, on TV and stuff, actually, in movies, actually claim capitalism is. But capitalism in its purest form is collaboration between individuals, creating value and exchanging money and services for it. Now, you said that if you're going to help someone, you're doing a disservice to them by not getting it in
if you
their
really
hands.
believe in your stuff.
And you said making a little bit of money off of it. And I want to kind of highlight that. The reality is there's a lot of people that have crap in a box and don't really have a lot of stuff, and they will try to convince themselves by, oh, I'm doing a disservice if I don't get this in people's hands. So just like you could have a frothy motivational saying that, yes, I'm honest, I'm great, I'm deserving, but say you're a scoundrel, you know, and you really don't go out and help anyone, you know, you can tell yourself that stuff all day long, and, you know, maybe you can fake sincerity and convince yourself. But in the best of terms, if you really do have something valuable, think about what James said. I mean, if you're not getting it out to the world, if you're not getting rewarded by it, you're not doing yourself. You're not doing yourself a favor. You're not helping anyone else, and that is critical for people to understand and believe that. And the vehicle to make that a reality, from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the only vehicle I know on the capability that's going to allow you to really do that is marketing.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're even speaking, that's what I try to tell
I
folks.
just realized my shirt's not buttoned here, like this little button here, and I figure right in the middle of this interview, it's okay, we have enough rapport with each other, I can just kind of lean over.
Really good, whatever floats your boat, brother.
Okay, cool.
You know, and Joe did put makeup on me before this.
Yeah, no, we did. It's a little, and we're probably still too shiny because we started talking. We were watching like little segments of The Secret Millionaire, which, by the way, you should go and type in, Secret Millionaire James Malinchak. If you've not seen the show, and watch what you did, and we're going to get to that in a minute. So what I do want to do, from a strategy though, and there's a lot to this. I mean, me and you have been studying marketing for over a decade. I know I've personally spent over $1 million in my marketing and education.
You mean you invested?
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
Well, of course I invested. No, I mean.
Well, I mean, seriously, and that's something I want to touch on because people say, well, I don't want to join the Genius Network or Joe's 25K club. I can't spend that amount of money. Or I don't want to go to James's boot camp and spend that money. Well, that's a poverty way of thinking.
Yeah.
Prosperity way of thinking is, man, this is an investment in my future success. If I get one idea from the $10,000 investment or a $10 book investment, that one idea could be $1 million.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I try to break my students free of is, I don't want to spend $10. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That you're not spending anything. I haven't spent money on myself or my business in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I've invested in my future success.
You got a good point, and I guess I should probably highlight that more. Absolutely. I mean, the best return I ever made was spending money on learning skills and capabilities and actually doing something with it. And people, there's so much enormous. If you really don't have money, I mean, truly, if you have no access to credit cards, if you don't have any access to money, what's going to change it? I mean, it's not going to fall out of the money fairy is not going to show up and start crapping money. I mean, you got to start doing something.
Can we please quote that? The money fairy is not going to show up and start crapping money.
Yeah, exactly. We can quote that. We actually should turn that into business.
I like that.
Just like Alf marketing, easy, lucrative, but people should start talking about money fairies, crapping money.
That might be a good title for a book. Watch out for the.
Is that URL taken? All right. So the thing is, if someone truly watching this does not have any money, and they want to do, there are amazing books that have been written that you can buy for $10. You can go on Amazon. You can go on a lot of different places.
You could get it for free by going to the library.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know the stats. It is probably less than this now since I last researched this. Is less than 3% of the American population even own a library card. I mean, and it's free. But you will see these same people, go out to bars, go out to movies, have cable television.
Yeah.
They will spend all day on the internet, reading gossip. 2/3 of American conversations statistically are gossip. That's what people talk about. And in order to have an edge in the world and do a little bit better, you don't need to be a genius. Heck, I didn't even complete college. I mean, I barely made it through high school. I didn't even really care. I failed owning and operating a business at a community college. I got a C- in marketing at a community college.
And I even heard you were fired from your paper route. And you went bankrupt at your lemonade stand.
No, I never went bankrupt, but I never could really stick to a job because I am not wired to do that. But that's a whole other story. You're like fired for a paper route. I actually did have. When I was a kid, I did have a paper route, and I sold not memberships, but subscriptions, door to door. It won a trip to Disneyland, and I was really good for some reason at making people feel sorry for me when I would talk about how I need to win this trip to Disneyland. So I guess as a little kid, maybe I used a little bit of the sympathy I really needed sort of ploy, So, however, that set the stage for a future of selling. And if anyone really wants to be good at marketing, marketing replaces selling. Okay, and we can I'd love to hear your definition of marketing. But to me, one of the best trainings someone could ever have is having to go out into the world and sell something to
100%.
Because I don't know anyone that becomes a great marketer that actually has not learned how to actually sell. Because marketing is selling in advance. It's using copy, it's using video, it's using websites, it's using social networking, it's using all of these vehicles to develop rapport and communicate with people and take them from, if you're selling something, a closed sale would be called certainty, And an unclosed sale would be uncertainty, and it's taking people from uncertainty to certainty. And of course, your world is using speaking and various other things. So let me ask you first, what is your definition of marketing?
In a generic business sense, for me, it's what I'm putting out is it bringing money and customers back. You know, rather than this billboard. People think billboard advertising is marketing. People think throwing something in the yellow page is a blown-up business card, and the yellow pages is marketing.
Right.
You know, that is not marketing. I mean, what do you have to show for it? You know, so for my businesses, what we do is we have a very simple question. Whatever we're putting out, is it bringing people onto our list, or is it bringing people to our events, or is it bringing income in some way, or at least a new prospect that can turn into income?
Right.
If not, we need to look at what we're doing, because we're just wasting dollars. We're just throwing advertising out there. You know, so in a very generic sense, that's what it is for us.
So how does someone learn this? I mean, again, there's no way. I don't know any person that could teach someone in the, you know, like in an hour, how to be a fantastic marketer. I mean, if anything else, this is simply just a introduction, if you're not already a marketer, to this thing called marketing and different avenues to do it, and how someone like you has become a millionaire and has now taught many other people how to do the same thing as a result of learning this skill set. So how does someone start? I mean, what would you recommend to someone watching and they really wanted to be a speaker, be a whatever, you know, build their dog grooming business, you know, build their cafe up? I mean, there's a lot of different things that people do, but there's this marketing skill. How do people learn it?
Well, I think, first of all, it has anything to do with speaking. You got to get to one of my boot camps. And it's a little self-promotion here, but I say it because I mean it.
I interviewed Brian Tracy recently,
Yeah.
and he said if you haven't asked for money today, you haven't worked. I like that saying,
Yeah.
you know, because literally every day you got to ask for money in some way.
Love Brian. I mean, Brian's been to my house twice, doing mastermind sessions.
If you were to get in a
at my
fight
house, I
with
love
him, you think you could take him physically?
I would put him in a pinky lock, and I think I could submit him in a pinky lock.
Yeah, because you used to play college basketball,
I did,
right?
yeah.
Does that mean you can fight though? I mean, truly, because you took me to my first UFC fight.
I did.
You're kind of a violent man.
I sort of behind the scenes, I've always had this thing for martial arts. I used to take martial arts for a while.
Really?
Yeah, for about 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
well, quit going on tangents and answer the question.
You just want to put makeup on me.
Yeah.
What was the question?
What was the question? One of the people in the back here.
How does someone learn it?
Yeah. How do you pick up an awesome marketer? See, we're not even going to edit this. I am literally going to leave that in there because I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Don't you? If there's a place to make a comment anywhere where you watch this video, because it could show up anywhere, then I want you to comment. What do you think about that little asking the behind-the-scenes backstage people? You know what the question was, because we're both ADD.
You know, I think the thing with marketing that people really, and this was the turning point for me. So I speak from my turning point, and when others that I've helped had that turning point. It's when I realized that I had to just pretty much kick myself in the butt and say, there is no way in the world I am actually going to grow my business and make money unless I become a master marketer.
Yeah.
I have a cousin that's worth a few $100 million. One of the most successful traders of commodities and in mercantile and silver. And he taught me this a long time ago. When I was struggling as a speaker, he said, stop studying speakers. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, most of them are broke.
That is great advice. Really.
He said, go study the world's top marketers.
Wow.
And that was, 12 some years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. And he's the type of person that, when they touch something and it just turns to gold all the time. He's one of those people.
Right.
And one of the most ethical, honest human beings I've ever met in my life. And everything he's always told me, and I've done, it's worked out. So I've never, ever questioned him. So when he told me this, back when I was broke, and even working in a video store to make some extra money to pay my rent, because I was buying into this whole speaking thing about dream big and you'll be wealthy as a speaker. Speak with passion and you'll be wealthy. I was doing all that, and I was still eating like noodles with diluted spaghetti sauce.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm like, shoot, I'm doing everything they're telling me to do, and it ain't working.
Right.
I'm telling my story, it ain't working. I can't even get on stage to do all this stuff. Right? And he said that to me, and I mean, I'm a very action-oriented person. Like, you tell me something, I go out and get the book.
Yeah, no, you absolutely do.
He told me this 15 years ago, whatever. I went out and started learning everything I could about marketing. I mean, first I started the bookstore, and I think you got to be careful. because without disrespecting any marketing stuff in a bookstore, a lot of it doesn't relate to us, the entrepreneur.
Yeah, no,
You know?
most marketing books in bookstores, quote unquote, are, I'd say 90% of them are crap.
Yeah, it's not the real like nitty gritty. This is what you
It's
do.
not direct response. It's more like brand building and name recognition. And look, if you got a multi-million-dollar ad budget, like a soda company or something, then yeah, maybe. But the small business owner that's just trying to work from home or whatever, brand building is not the type of marketing.
Yeah.
They actually need marketing where you put it out there. It actually creates a response.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not about getting your name out there. It's about getting your name out there and getting a response back.
Exactly. So I started going to the bookstore and seeing all this stuff, and I'm like, man, but this thing, I'm not trying to build a multi-billion-dollar company. I mean, this isn't me, and it seemed really false to me in a way, a lot of this stuff. And I had invested. So I went ahead and I took a leap, and I invested in a $1,000 direct response course, $997. Joe, man, I'll tell you what, anything I had gotten before that was $10, maybe $80.
Oh yeah.
So
no, my first major investment was a $2,000 set of VHS tapes in 1992 from Gary Halbert called the Atom Bomb Seminar. And I mean, even on ilovemarketing.com, which is on iTunes as a podcast.
That was another promotion.
Yeah, yes. But, well, it is my interview, so I mean, I guess
and
I
also,
say, do you want to plug anything else?
No, I was just going to say bigmoneyspeaker.com is where you want to go for all your speaker needs.
Gotcha. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I love how you took my part of your speech.
Does Joe have a website on
Here's it's subliminal. Actually, it only shows up on the camera, by the way. So I'm going to, like, I spoke at one of your events, and then I saw you blatantly exploit my speaking by putting your tagline down at the bottom as if
why not? Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna start. I think what we're going to do is edit on your forehead like ilovemarketing.com here, so that
I can't believe there's an ilovemarketing.com stamp on this plant.
It looks like a heart. It looks like a heart. And don't say anything weird. Okay. So
I just
well, here's how I was going to say
$2,000 course you're saying.
$2,000 course from Gary Halbert, and I actually put on I Love Marketing the very first newsletter I ever read in 1992 that actually got me started down the path of marketing. But when I first made that investment, it was on credit cards. I was $30,000 in debt as a dead broke carpet cleaner doing good work, but doing good work wasn't cutting it. I mean,
let me ask you this: because there are probably a lot of people watching this,
right?
And I deal with the same thing. Here you are, 30 grand in debt, never invested in like a $2,000 product from somebody who really knows what they're doing. By the way, those who know what they're doing, they will be charging more for their stuff. They're not charging like $8.97.
Exactly.
So what triggered you to go ahead when you're in this tough situation to say, you know what? I'm going to go invest from this Halbert guy, even though I don't know him, and I'll give him the $2,000.
Well, for one, he made a very compelling offer. It was a very powerful, persuasive pitch in a sales letter.
What we're talking about here is what you got to do in order to get people to jump over the line.
It was that, and secondly, he had set the stage when I read that very first issue, which, like I said, I actually I put a link for people to read that. It doesn't sell anything either, by the way. When I'm saying go to I Love Marketing, it's not selling anything.
.com.
Yeah.
That was selling.
And
I'm trying to help a brother out, man. He's been so good to me. I gotta help him out with the promotion.
I appreciate it. Well, in that first newsletter, he actually said that a smart person is not someone that measures the value of information by the pound, but by the value of it. He said a smart person is more willing to pay $1,000 for 10 pages of real value, real content, than for $10 for 300 pages of fluff. So so like you said, the most expensive information in the world is bad information. It truly is. And there's a lot of bad information that's free. I mean, you can go all over the internet and get free data all day long. And that's not to say you can't get incredibly good advice for free, or someone can. This interview is an example.
Sure.
Whatever, assuming people actually think it's good.
Well, I thought we were going to charge $100,000 for this interview.
If anyone wants to cut a check, it's really up to you. We'll pay us whatever you think it's worth, and send the money to me. Send the money to me. No, but that's what did it. Gary said,
sendthemoneytome.com. Here it is.
But no, that's what did it. So does that answer the question? Yeah.
Yeah.
He set the stage by me just realizing that, I was
poking you in the head with the thing.
Okay,
Sorry,
let's go. We got to get different props here.
This is the most laid-back interview I've ever done.
Good. Next time we'll maybe do it like,
I'm glad you had said all that. Because that first $997 course that I invested in, it showed up in an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
It was 6 audio cassettes thrown in an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
I remember opening this up going, you got to be kidding me. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody package it that way today, but my mindset was I was prejudging it on 6 audio cassettes.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, I literally said, I'm going to listen to this, and I'm sending it back. I listened to the first hour and said, oh my God,
right.
This is life-changing. I didn't buy 6 audio cassettes. I invested in the information that's on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I took more notes in those 6 audio cassettes than I'd ever taken in my entire life.
Yeah. And
that's when it hit me. It is not about, the cassettes or the VHS tapes. It's about what you learn on there and the results they get for you.
Totally.
So to answer that question about somebody starting out, you got to be really careful about, well, I'll just go to the bookstore and read this book on brand building and I'm doing that. Well, that's not probably us. We're the solopreneur, the entrepreneur, the small businesswoman or guy. And you got to learn from people like us who are, here's my line, don't learn from somebody who's been there, done that. That is a lie that's perpetuated. And that, to me, that is a road that leads into a ditch. So you learn from people who, I'm sorry.
You're going to say, so go ahead.
Don't learn from people who've been there, done that. Learn from people who've been there, done that, and who are still doing it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I still do the speaking. You still do this marketing. That's why I'm in your group.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much from you and all the other amazing people that sit around these tables. Mm-hmm. But what happened 5, 10, 20 years ago is totally different. So you got to learn from somebody who's got their finger on the pulse.
Yeah. You stay on the cutting edge. And a lot of people, they lose their audience, and so they keep talking about what they did 20 years ago, and it's like, well, the world's changed. And that's also not to say there's not a lot of principles, because many of the principles me and you use, were created by Claude Hopkins back in the early 1900s. So there's tremendous wisdom in everything we've been talking about. In spite of what you think of me and James, truly, I don't know anyone that has done really well in the world that is not a great marketer.
Oh, 100%.
And don't confuse marketing with selling.
And by the way, even those that you don't think are marketing are actually marketing without you knowing they're marketing.
Exactly.
You see people that get a big following and go, oh, he's just such a nice guy, or she's such a sweet, empowering woman. But if you and I could sit there and go, oh, look at those marketing triggers that she just dropped, and oh, here's scarcity, and here, even though
every spiritual leader on the planet was a great marketer.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bible letter is one of the most effective sales letters that's ever been written. However someone wants to view that. It is a message that is written that creates a following. It is, and it's something that people, AA, one of the most phenomenal movements of the last 100 years that has helped millions of people literally recover from horrible addictions, and different people have different perspectives on it, but they've built their entire movement not through promotion but through attraction, and I admire AA probably more than anything in terms of the field of addiction, because it absolutely works for people that work it. And most people would never think of AA as marketing, so they're not like marketers in the they're not out there writing sales letters, and they actually shy away from PR as an organization right from the very beginning when it was first originally founded by Bill W. and Dr. Bob. The truth is, though, because it works and they were catalysts for that, it is still marketing. It gets out there somehow. Things just don't happen accidentally.
Well, and that's an important point about marketing, and I don't know if this is one of their strategies, but there are a lot of people who use the strategy of we don't need to market. Right. As a strategy.
Exactly.
Therefore, people just come to us as the authority, but that's a strategy. I don't need to market. Everybody just comes to me. We don't put it out. I get referred.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a position strategy that a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people use.
Well, and there's weird, I have terrible memory on certain things. Like if you asked me what a movie was about that I saw 2 days ago, it'd be really hard to describe it. But years ago I was in a restaurant and there was little sugar packets and they had little sayings on them. And there was one caption that said advertising, and it said, he who has something to sell and whispers in a well is not as apt to make the shiny dollar as the guy who climbs a tree and hollers. And I remember that. and I love that, because it's like, if you got something to sell,
that's right,
and you whisper in a well, you're not going to, you're not going to make the money. You got to get out there and say something. So one of the ways of doing it is, that is a strategy. We really don't market, but if you provide awesome stuff and people talk about it, I'm not going to say the quote right. Walt Disney had a philosophy of Disneyland and Disney World where he'd like, have the experience be so incredible that once people visit it, they cannot help but go out and tell other people about it.
Right.
I mean, so his method of marketing was just create an incredible experience. So, and that was viral long before the internet ever existed.
Right.
I mean, Walt Disney thought of that, 50, 60 years ago when he first made that statement.
Right.
And even Steve Jobs in 1997 said, we always focus on the customer experience first and technology second. And that's why one of the reasons why everybody that gets a new iPad or whatever talks about it to other Apple, fans. So marketing comes in many different ways, shapes, and forms, but the bottom line is you got to have something. And you got to have a message, and there's got to be a delivery system, and your delivery system is speaking. So
love speaking.
I'm going to switch gears, because another delivery system that you've now positioned yourself with, which has happened in a lot of ways, never thinking that it would take off like it has, is the Secret Millionaire. And in the time we have left, which is only we're going to take a few more minutes here, but let's talk about the Secret Millionaire and what that has done for you. How it shifted your perspective and the lessons that people can learn from it, because I'm sure many of the people watching this have watched The Secret Millionaire, and what are your thoughts?
Well, ironically, when I was approached by ABC originally, and I did not go after them. I wasn't like one of 250,000 people in a stadium auditioning.
Right.
They a friend who I don't know to this day who it actually is, referred them to me, or actually referred me to them. They sent an email in, and we didn't respond for 8 days, because I actually didn't want anything to do with like a reality TV type of thing.
Right.
Because I thought I was approached twice in the past by 2 different shows, and it was just not kind of what I wanted to align with.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, out of respect for this person, I should at least call them back and decline politely. So I called them, and the person started. I was in Dallas speaking at an event on a Friday, and I'm talking to the person, and I said, "Man, you sound great. Would you just talk to the producers?" I said, "But I just told you I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not interested, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to like have some bait and switch, or have like all of a sudden it's some crazy thing going on, right?" So I said, "Well, look, I'm here in a hotel room. I don't speak till tomorrow. If they want to call me, they can call me." Well, they called, and we talked for 40 minutes. And they said, "Man, you sound great." I said, "But I just told you like 3 times, I don't want to do this thing." And I really did, because in my mind, they're going to bait and switch. That's all I keep seeing is like, we're going to hurt people instead of help people.
Yeah, so they're going to they're going to make it sound like it's going to be something, and it's going to turn into something that you really don't want yourself on TV portrayed as.
And at this point, I did not know it was ABC. And then this one producer who I've become really good friends with, she said, "Can we fly in? We are actually ABC television. Can we fly and meet with you on Monday at your house?" And I was like, "Wow, they don't fly anywhere if this is real." They said, "You're really ABC?" And they don't fly anywhere to just meet people. You go audition for them, right?
Yeah.
So they fly and they meet with me. Ironically, I believe things happen for a reason. Monday was the only day in like the following 3 weeks I had available. So Monday they fly and meet with me. They walk in my house, and the first thing I say is, "Look, you're in my house now. If you're going to pull some bait and switch and all that, I mean, we can end this right now. Don't be lying in my house.
Yeah.
Can we just talk to you?" So we sit down and we talk, and man, I'm like, I got this big wall up, right? Because I still think, man, they're going to like just make people look bad.
Right.
And about an hour and a half into, this producer stands up, literally stands up, walks over to me, grabs my arm, looks at me in the eye, and says, "I give you my word. I promise you we're going to help people. We're not going to hurt people." I just believed her. I really believed her that she was really a good person and sincere, and that turned into a 7-hour meeting. We were playing around basketball at my house in my court, and we just became the best of friends. Next thing you know, I'm on a plane going to do this. So how has this changed my life since the show? It's been amazing.
They gave you like $44 to, how much was it?
$44.66 for a week
To live on.
And Joe, I didn't know until I showed up in the area. I had no idea. I never even thought about, like, okay, I'm taking no money, no credit cards. They wouldn't even let me take a watch.
No cell
watch,
phone.
no cell phone.
No way to communicate with anyone.
Nobody knew. The producers checked in with my sister every couple days just to tell her I was okay. When they told me where I was going, to Gary, Indiana, I thought I was going to milk cows on a farm. Because I had no idea. I thought, Indiana, I don't know, it's some farmland area. It was one of the toughest ghettos in the U.S.
Wow.
One of the toughest ghettos in the U.S. I had, when I went to sleep at night, I had two guys out front in cars who were packing. And there was one in the alley packing. And they stayed up all night while I was sleeping at night. That's how tough it was.
Wow.
I had no idea. I had no idea where I was at. I didn't realize it was that type of place. Drive-by shootings, kids riding home on school buses and bullets flying through the bus. I mean, it was pretty scary. I mean, I saw gangs at one point when I was walking. I ran from them because I thought they were coming after me. I mean, it was a tough thing. So, your question, how's my life changed? It's been crazy. I mean, I never realized the power of network television for getting your message out, your brand. I have, I think, since the trailer started running, I've gotten like 10 or 12 speaking engagements out of it. I'm talking, I got 4 or 5 speaking engagements just from the trailers alone. Just from the trailers alone running, not even before my episode came out. I've had speaking events created around me, like wealth building events created around me, and come see James Malinchak from The Secret Millionaire, promoting just that. I've had joint venture opportunities like crazy. I've had ex-girlfriends come out of the woodwork.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
To be determined.
Yeah, because the time we're doing this interview is relatively soon while the show is out there. So I'm sure even 3 to 6 months from now, it's going to see the strategic byproducts of this are going to be even that much more.
Oh, it's just I've had people ask me for money. I have friends from 25 years ago I didn't even know.
I was going to ask you for some money, but I was going to wait till we turned the camera.
But I'm just saying, neither good nor bad. There's been both. There's been positive and negative.
So what sort of paradigm shifts could you share with the viewers here that anything that it taught you about poverty, it taught you about business, it taught you about America, it taught you about humanity?
Boy, I'll tell you, I thought originally going on this show I was going to be some guy going on this show, going to meet some amazing people, and at the end I'm going to write them some checks so they can further their mission, their cause. About a day into it, to me it was life-changing. The greatest blessing that God's ever given me in my life has been when my sister Vicki was dying of a brain tumor, that I actually had a few weeks, maybe even like a month, to spend time with her, just sister and brother. That was the greatest blessing I've ever had. I never in my life thought anything would come close to that. Being on this show and meeting these people and just seeing what genuine, good-hearted angels they are. Not people, they're angels. Just serving and uplifting and really doing it for no other reason than put a smile on somebody else's face is the second greatest blessing I have ever had. It totally changed my life. So I'm on this show thinking I'm going to write some checks, and I got more out of what I learned from these people than I think they got out of the money that I gave them, in the form of continuing their mission. It was, I think we all, at some point, at least this was something for me, I think at some point we all start to drink our own Kool-Aid. And we all hit a level of business success or financial success, and we kind of think we're a little bit of a somebody, or a lot of a somebody. And it came at a really good time in my life where I got kicked in the shins and got brought back down to earth, and taught me a lot of that's what it's really about. I mean, it's okay to, and you should be making money and growing your business, but doesn't mean you're somebody special. You're just a human being.
Right.
And none of them had any real money, but they were rich beyond belief.
Yeah.
Rich beyond belief. Let me tell you this story, because this is a behind-the-scenes one that wasn't shown. and this is what changed my life. We're about day 4 or 5, and I'm living on this money, right? And I have like $4 or something left in my pocket, and I got a couple of days to go. By the way, I lived on peanut butter and jelly and bottled water.
Wow.
I lost like 6 or 7 pounds in that whole week. And it taught me something. I really believe this. I could win Survivor. If I ever went on, because I was always worried about like, how the heck these people like nourish their body. After doing that, I could easily. I have no problem. I know with my, if I ever competed on Survivor, which I have no desire to, I know I could win it because I could handle the nutrition problem.
And this is also, to take a serious subject and throw a little humor into it, I mean, this is going to save me some money whenever I have to go out to lunch or dinner with you. So I'm just going to get a loaf of bread.
Darn. I'm kidding about all this. No.
Yeah, so I'm sure the resourcefulness that you learned out of this.
Well, the very first thing I had to, and then I'll get into this cup of coffee thing I want to talk about. The first thing I had to be okay with was I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. I haven't been in this situation 25, 30 years where I was completely alone, completely isolated. I had no money, no credit cards, no watch, no computer, no cell phone, no family, no friends, no people around me at a speaking engagement, no books to read. I had none of that. No television. I was completely alone. And the first day, I'm jumping out of a window, like ready to pull my hair out, like, holy crap, what am I doing?
Right.
And I think that was the shell shock that happens, right? And then I start to strategize. Okay, get back to the mission. What's the mission? Don't focus on yourself, dude. Focus on the mission. You're supposed to be here to serve and meet these amazing people. Mm-hmm. So then I had to start adjusting. Take it off of me, get it onto these folks. But the very first thing I had to come to within myself is I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because, we're in our lifestyles every day, and it's very easy and complacent. And once I did that and stayed focused on them and why I was there, I was okay. And took it off of me. And isn't that how we should be in business anyway?
Totally. Yeah.
Focus on the customer. Focus on the client.
Yeah. I mean, if you're ever in a situation where you're really stressed out or anxiety-ridden, or you're publicly speaking for the first time and you're worried, instead of focusing on your nervousness, focus on the dangers, the opportunities, and strength of your prospect, your clientele, your friends, the whoever.
Well, that's what I tell speakers or people who want to get into speaking who are nervous about going up on stage. I say, well, don't think about the presentation. That's not what it's about. Think about the audience. You're here to enrich their lives and help them. Mm-hmm. Just get up there and help them and educate them and enrich their lives. Don't focus on you. That's selfish. And that's what I was doing on The Secret Millionaire. I was focusing on me. It was all about me. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is about these people. It's called Secret Millionaire, but it's about them.
I love what you said. Like I was like you were kind of shell shocked, I guess, in a lot of ways, and then you started to strategize. Mm-hmm. I mean, isn't that pretty much kind of like sort of there's a strategy right there? Do something.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Wherever you're at right now, is gonna where you're gonna be a year from now is the books you read, the people you meet, the actions you take. I mean, really.
Yeah, and so that was the very first thing, and that got me through. Stay focused on the purpose, the mission, and let's do something about it. I can, dwell on this stuff, or I can focus on let's make something happen here, and let's focus on these people. But so we're in like day 4, and I got like $4 left in my pocket, roughly. So I tell my friend Coach Tony, and I say my friend because he's my dear friend to this day. We text all the time. He's come to my house. I've been back to visit him, and I say, Coach, I gotta go just get a cup of coffee. We're about to go raise funds in the community for his organization. I said, before we go, I just got to get a cup of coffee. I haven't had one for all this time, and I'm so proud of myself. I got extra money.
$4.
Yeah, $4. Yeah. And so he goes, okay, great. So we go to the
sure as hell ain't going to go to Starbucks.
Man, no. I mean, by the way, the other thing I learned is money management.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have $44.66 and you have a week, you learn to start budgeting and you learn money management. Yeah. I think every successful person should go away for a week or 10 days where they have no resources and live like I lived on The Secret Millionaire. Huh. It will really shift your spirit.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Good
we go into this coffee shop, this pharmacy, and we go to get a cup of coffee. And it's about that big, and the lady goes 99 cents each. Okay? And in my mind, I'm budgeting, right? And I'm still thinking about myself. And I said, oh, Coach, I'm so sorry. With my budget and what I have in my pocket, I don't have enough to pay for both of our cups. See, it came back on me, right? And he goes, what are you talking about? He says, you're my family, you're my friend, you're in my town, you don't pay. And he bought both cups of coffee. Now, here's the important thing. He didn't know that I knew, because I was undercover, his tough situation with his house, with the debt he had, and that he had medical bills too, and that he'd been out of work for a year and a half. And I'm thinking, how selfish am I? Here's this guy who has literally no money, is in debt, still supporting and feeding and clothing kids through his basketball program, and he would not let me buy a 99-cent cup of coffee. And here I am worried about $4 in my pocket, you know. And so it taught me something. Right then and there, I said, man, rich is more than money. You know, this guy doesn't have any money, but he's rich beyond belief. And that changed my life right there. And I knew at that point we were going to be lifelong friends. And I knew at that point that I was going to give him a significant amount of money that would change his life.
That's
and
awesome.
That's the life lesson, a main one I got from Coach Tony.
Wow, wow. Very cool. Well, you know what? First off, it was fun to do this interview and banter back and forth. It's not even really an interview. We're just sitting up here, two guys talking and stuff. And
two guys dressed the same.
Yeah, exactly. Dressed the same, wearing the same makeup, you know. Sort of. My watch is better than yours.
It is.
But,
yeah. This is $3 out of a bubblegum machine.
I would hope so. After this Secret Millionaire, you would not be wasting all your money on expensive watches. Yeah. So what I'd like to say to the viewers is, for one, if you really learn, if you have some value and everyone does, and if you don't feel like you do, then that should be one of your life missions, is go and discover how money earned ethically is a byproduct of value creation. And so,
cool. Say that again. That's really great.
Money earned ethically is a byproduct of value creation.
That's really.
And I actually heard that from Dan Sullivan, one of my best friends. He's a founder of a company called Strategic Coach. Brilliant guy.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, amazing dude. And so if you in focus, one of the things you said, focusing on other people. It's not about what you want. Don't ever fall in love with your product or service. Fall in love with, what the market wants. And wherever there's anxiety, there's opportunity. And great marketers know that and understand that, and they utilize all of the different processes, methodologies, wisdom techniques in order to link people with that have problems to solutions. And there's a lot of bad news out there in the world, and if you know how to solve problems, if you know how to make people laugh, make their lives easier, solve minor problems to large problems,
And let me say this. This is important. You're not a bad person if you do that.
No, it's the best thing you could do.
Yeah, because you're helping. I have a person that I've helped who is a grief coach. Went to bed, woke up, and her husband was dead next to her. Went through like 7 or 8 years of grieving. And I found out through her that the average person in America, when they lose someone or a job, because losing a job is grief, or losing a pet, 7 to 8 years of their life is gone.
Wow.
Well, she wanted to help these people because she had a process that would enable them to go through it fast and get through it. But she was worried about charging because you're dealing with grief. And I had to clear her of that first, that she wasn't profiting from her husband's death. I said, here's what you have to understand. You are saving people 7 to 8 years of their life, statistically, of what they're going to lose. Would you have invested in something back then that would clear them, if you will, in 3 months, 6 months, or a year? Would you have done that for yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, in a heartbeat, to save 7 years of my life. So you're not a bad person for doing what you just said, taking your service and that anxiety and clearing that anxiety with your product or your service.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what? If you don't have a motivation to make profit from it, you can't do anything. I mean, if you don't have any, it's kind of like, I want to go do good in the world and I want to drive all over the place and do stuff, but I don't have any gasoline in the tank. I mean, money is profits are the fuel that will fuel the mission, that will allow you to get employees, that will allow you to do the marketing. I mean, typically 50% of the cost of anything if you're really a well-run operation with great marketing, usually 50% of anything you sell is going to go towards the marketing of it.
Oh, sure.
So you get, know, and because you have to get the messaging out there, and yeah, I mean, you know, solve problems for a profit. And there's this whole term in the philanthropic world which I really don't like. I understand the context of it, but people are like, well, I want to do good stuff in the world, I want to give back.
Right.
And you know, most people that give a lot to the world never took anything to begin with. You know, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. You don't have to give back because you took. People that give back usually do it because that's just who they are.
Right.
They're just good human beings that give back. And so if you really want to give back, you first have to create jobs, create value, and then put it out there. But you know, you don't owe the world anything other than your very best.
Well,
and by doing your very best, you're giving the world everything you can give it and more.
The three things you can always give are obviously money, but you can give time, you can give your talents as well.
Totally.
You know, this is one thing I really admire about you. I've never told you this. You know, but one of the things more than anything else, I mean, obviously, Joe's a brilliant guy. You got to learn from Joe. That's why I'm in one of his groups. But, and I've never told you this, but the thing that connects me more to you than anything else, because I mean there are a lot of marketing people out there, is when I hear you talk about how you help Richard Branson raise money for his charity, and how you're like the largest contributor, you know, or money raiser for his one charity. And I don't, you don't ever say this, but I'm sure you've written many checks for large amounts out of your own bank account. And now here's the point: if Joe didn't have that money because he knew how to create value and market his great products or services, think about how many people would not be helped because of what Joe's done writing checks. You know, so if you don't have the money, you can't give it. But I heard Paul Hartunian say this one time. You know Paul.
Yeah, totally.
Paul is the guy who actually sold the Brooklyn Bridge. Like sold pieces of the Brooklyn Bridge, and he's been all over and all kind. He teaches PR now, and a great guy. But he says the world has changed with a checkbook. And that struck me when he said that, and he went on to say, you know, like if people need clothing, well, all the wishing and hoping doesn't buy the clothing. It's the stroke of a pen.
Yes.
You know, and that I never forgot that. You know, when I helped to feed hungry kids with one of these charities, and it always struck me that if we didn't have the money in our bank accounts to go buy backpacks for kids, they couldn't eat.
Exactly.
You know, so money's not a bad thing.
No, money's, people say that money's not important, try living without it. You know, and you did.
Yeah, I tell you, I survived, but it was tough, man. It was tough. One of the things I wanted to do on the show, but it wasn't the focus of the show, is let's not only give them money, let me mentor these folks on how to go out and raise funds for their organizations. Let me teach them how to go get money, you know, because it's that old adage, right? You give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him how to fish, feeds himself for a lifetime. That's one of the reasons I resonated with Coach Tony so much, is I wanted to teach him. He's been to my seminars, actually. He's attended my seminars, and he's been to my house, and I've helped him, you know, learn how to actually raise money. Because if I can teach him how to do this, he could feed so many more kids. He can buy sneakers for so many more kids. So money's not a bad thing, and you got to understand that if you enrich people's lives, add value, and you make money because of that, if you do want to give back and serve, give all your money away and help more people.
Totally. Exactly. I mean, that's one of my big motivations, and it's not just about creating money, it's about creating resourcefulness, and that's why I love, marketing, you know, because marketing can be done to not only make profits for yourself, but it can be done to solve a lot of social and economic problems. And the very best way I think you can impact the world is first have a great business that totally takes care of you. And the more that you're taken care of, the more you can go out and do stuff. I mean, because in a couple of minutes here after we end this interview, I'm actually meeting with the CEO of the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Canada, and we're going to talk about how to use great marketing and connecting in order to continue to grant wishes for kids. And so there's a lot that can be done with it. So first off, James, congratulations on all your success. I know none of this was easy. You know, people like overnight success. Yeah, you know, the overnight that was, you know,
20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And you've heard all that. There's all the cliches towards it. And you know, it's really great to see everything that you've done and all you've accomplished, and now how you're sharing the message and you're training people, and you literally have created a library of stuff. And I know that there's lots of things that you're doing with universities and teaching people, and plus you're just a fun dude.